Like to call the Town of Rome Board meeting to order for Thursday, September 25th, 2002 at 5 o'clock p.m. Number 2, roll call starting from the left.
Jamadi here.
Minter here.
Asdell here.
Goldman here.
Bowerheit here.
Number 3, certified posting of the meeting, please.
I certify that on Monday, September 12th, the agenda for the Town of Rome Board meeting for Thursday, September 15th, was emailed to the Wisconsin Rapids Tribune at 2:53 p.m., posted at Rome Town Hall at 3:05 p.m., at Quick Trip LLC at 4 p.m., and at Coosa Port Edward State Bank at 3:55 p.m.
Thank you. Number 4, could I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 5, Pledge of Allegiance. Number 6, citizen comments. We do have one here, so citizen comments. During the citizen comment period of the agenda, the town board welcomes comments from any town resident, not a member of the town board, on any item not on the agenda. Please know that pursuant to state law, the board cannot engage in conversation with you, but may ask questions. The board may refer the item to staff, a standing committee, or a future board agenda for discussion and action. Each person wishing to speak will have up to 3 minutes to speak. Speakers are asked to submit a card to the clerk treasurer, providing their name, address, and topic for discussion. The board will also take comment from the public on agenda items as called by the chair, but not during the citizen comment. Please note that once the board begins discussion on an agenda item, no further comment will be allowed from the public on that issue. Mr. Gabriel, come to the podium, please.
Tom Gabriel, 1032 East Queensway. I'm not going to stand up here tonight and read town ordinances. I did that at the Plan Commission meeting the other night. I really boiled it down to 2 questions. First question is, I was told by 2 members sitting in this room tonight that statute 36081-1 was being referred to legal counsel for interpretation. I'd like to know the interpretation of that ordinance somewhere in the near future. My second question is, what is the town doing to bring people into compliance with town ordinances that are out of compliance? And then an item for a future agenda would be, I've been coming to these board meetings, plan commission meetings for a decade now. They used to be about 35 to 55 minutes long. Plan commission meeting went over 2 hours the other night. Maybe it's time to put the short-term rentals into some other area that the business owners in this community can come before the plan commission and not have to give up an entire evening going through short-term rental after short-term rental because they all get approved. Just an idea. Thank you. I'll take any questions if you have any.
Any questions? No. Thank you. All right, no action contemplated except possible referral to future agenda. Number 7, information updates, meeting recaps, recent correspondence, current events, and announcements. Lori, would you like to start?
I have one regarding the wine tasting fundraiser that the American Legion Auxiliary Ryan Larson, Unit 65, will be held on Saturday, November 5th at the Lake Arrowhead Pines Clubhouse Banquet Room from 7 to 9:45. They'll feature wines for the winter and holiday season. It's $35 per person, and that $35 includes a $10 donation. Tickets can be purchased in advance at the Lake Arrowhead Association office. New this year, there'll be a sommelier that'll be hosting the event for the auxiliary, and that'll be a nice addition. And buy your tickets early because it does sell out fast, and it's really a fun evening. Thank you.
Dan?
Nothing town related, but a shameless plug for our high school football homecoming game tomorrow night, 7 p.m. at the Southwood County 2000 football field. So Assumption versus Iola Scandinavia.
Thanks. Dan?
Don't have anything.
Bob?
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
I just would like to remind everybody watching that our fall brush pickup is approaching. If you are a property on the west side of State Highway 13, your brush must be stacked by the end of the day on September 25th. If you're on the east side of State Highway 13, your brush must be stacked by the end of the day on October 9th. The guidelines for that are available on our website here at Town Hall. We also have a banner that's at the transfer site and has been traveling around the community. It's on our Facebook page. It's been shared on Nextdoor, but if you please share the dates with your friends and your neighbors, so they're aware and know it's an opportunity to get lots cleaned up and get the brush and timber off the yards to help with the reduction of wildfire.
Starting to see a lot out there already. That's good. Number 8, department and committee reports.
Would take questions if there were any.
I have two, please. First one would be for the administrator, well, actually, I have two for the administrator, please. Given the comments at the Plan Commission meeting and as well as this evening, could you please give us an update as to what was referred by the concerns? We've had a number, been brought to my attention as well. I've received a number of calls with the concerns raised over the building, and I'm awaiting an update as well. I'd like to know what those were, regarding an update on what is being done to realistically address those concerns and what will be done to bring that building into compliance. Can you share that with us, please?
So, Plan Commission did refer it to a future agenda, so it will be on the Plan Commission agenda for October 11th. And following that, we could bring that same update to the town board and have a presentation at that following town board meeting, which would be your second meeting in October.
What is currently being done to address it as construction is continuing at this point?
So the front of that establishment will have the 50% offset. That building is not, the front of that building isn't completed, but we can give a full report at the Plan Commission as was requested.
Okay, and then my second question for you would be, you had a meeting with Sam Valley on August 3rd regarding the addressing system, and what update can you give us on that?
So that is the second meeting that we've had. The first meeting was attended by 2 supervisors and some additional staff, including the Sheriff's Office, Rome Police Department, Fire. And at this moment, Adams County does have the addresses updated to what they should be. They are not released in land records or posted until we would have a signage plan for out at Sand Valley. So Sand Valley now is working with Adams County Highway on sizing and colors of signage. And then once those would be ordered and installed, then those addresses would be updated in the land record system and in the overall addressing system, so they would fall within the grid of all addresses for Adams County.
Okay, so they've been able to work on a design plan with you then in Adams County. Great, okay, thank you.
I had one on the Rome Water. Looking at the revenues and the expenses for the year, we're gonna have looks like a cash surplus. What do you expect the rate of return to be? Rough idea?
Not at all.
Okay.
But I can ask that question and
Well,
get back to you.
do you know what it was last year?
No, I do not.
Anybody have any other questions?
Yes, I had one additional question. If you don't have it available this evening, I had asked you at a previous meeting, I know things have been busy with budget, but if you could bring that to our next Plan Commission meeting, an update on the short-term rental number across the lake associations as well as across the town, and possibly a map with where those short-term rentals are located.
A map might be more difficult. I can print for you what we have in host compliance. That's not going to be 100%, but it's gonna give you a good sampling of where they are in the community. Not every short-term rental utilizes a platform provider. Some might have an individual website that might not be getting picked up.
That
but
would
I
be
can,
great.
Yeah, do that map. And I thought that was asked for Plan Commission, so I had that prepared for next Plan Commission.
That would
but-
be great. That'll help us with that discussion as we move forward with what we had talked about, so that'll be super.
I know right off the top of my head that you have 54 currently licensed at
Great.
this moment in time.
Thank you.
Oh, anybody else? All right, discussion possible action on the following items. Number 9, discussion and action approval of the September 1st, 2022 meeting minutes. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to approve is printed.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Number 10, discussion and action. Checks, vouchers, receipts, and journal entries. Approved checks number 44469 through 44558 totaling $183,496.58. Auto payments totaling $58,391.92. State Social Security Medicare withholdings totaling $35,104.81. Payroll vouchers V19251 through V19388 totaling $97,154.05. And check number 21645 totaling $737.56. Receipts numbers 23763 through 23878 totaling $1,452,652.56. Can I get a motion, please?
Move to approve the presentation of the checks, vouchers, and receipts and journal entries.
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried. Number 11, discussion only, update on the Insurance Services Office, Inc., ISO, ratings for the Town of Rome, Public Protection Classification, PPC.
We'll have Chief come up to the
Yep.
mic. And he can give an overview. There was in your packet, the information that we had received. This is kinda alphabet soup because we got our PPC from our ISO, but Chief will walk us through it.
So beginning in approximately February, we received a request for information regarding our PPC classification from the Insurance Service Office. That rating is what the vast majority of property owners, insurance companies use to set the rates for your homeowners insurance. The fire department completed our survey along with the cooperation of the water utility and the sheriff's department. The review took several months and came back in late August with an improvement to our public protection classification of 4/10. So the 4 represents the ISO rating for every property within a 5-mile radius of our fire stations. The 10 indicates the protection class rating for every property outside of that 5-mile circle. The outside of that 5-mile circle, we can have no control over. That's what it's set. If you live more than 5 miles from a fire station, you're automatically a protection class 10. There's actually a house here in Rome that is 5.1 miles away, has a fire hydrant in its front yard, and is a 10. There's nothing we can do about it. The 4 number for the residents that are inside of that 5-mile circle has a multi-page formula. I believe it's all included in your packet. Feel free.
Yeah. That's pretty extensive.
That dictates where our ratings lie. The variables that we can control are the number of people we have responding to calls and the equipment and the capabilities of our equipment. The 4 is a 3-digit improvement off of where we were previously at a 7. The fire department is proud of what's come out of it. It comes through hard work, training, and dedication by our members. And the dedication from the board and the rest of the town towards making sure we have the equipment we need. We look forward to continuing to be able to provide this, and I can try to answer any questions if you have them.
Excellent improvement, by the way. As I look at this thing, we have only 1.6 out of 10 possible points for the credit for deployment analysis. Do you have any idea how we could improve that?
Hire full-time staff.
That's what it is? Okay. And the next one,
It's as simple as I can put it. with having a volunteer staff, that's
Okay.
what we can get.
And the next one is credit for company personnel. Is that the same
Correct.
item? Okay. And then the other one was credit on the water supply. Credit for system supply, we only got 19.46 out of 30.
Because we don't have 100% hydrant coverage, so our water supply, based off of the Rome Water Utilities supply area, and then what we're able to supply with tanker shuttle going out to the rest of the community.
Okay.
Just as a side note, there are only 2 communities in the state of Wisconsin that have a 1. And that is the Green Bay Metro Fire Department and the city of Oshkosh are the only 2 folks that have a protection class 1.
Just a general question related to Supervisor Barheit's question. So the update that you gave last month regarding the access to water, is that going to potentially improve that number?
It will not improve that number because it's not an actual distribution system. It's just a water point for us to be able to fill the trucks, which is it's still a huge bonus to our community, but it's not going to add into ISO points for us.
Thank you.
How often do they do this? You got almost 100 pages here.
They ask you if you have any significant changes to report them so they can redo it. This is the first one that I've been involved in, and I've been here for the last 7 years.
And then how do they get information out to our insurance? Is that automatic, or the insurance request that info?
That I do not know.
Nick, any idea on that?
Insurance knows.
Yeah.
Somehow
The insurance found the guy that was 5.1 miles away from the station
Yeah.
and raised his rates.
Anybody in the audience have any questions? Anybody else?
I guess just one question. So some of it's based upon distance away from stations and things like that. How many more stations would we need to get everybody within a 5-mile radius of?
I haven't done the math, but it would take a couple more.
Thank you.
And then the equipment to put in them at $800,000 an engine.
Would they have to be staffed, or would they still volunteer, would still work?
We still have to have enough staffing to run them.
I mean, full-time, but.
Correct. But we know that our volunteer world is, we're tapping every resource we can at the moment. And constantly searching for new avenues to find more helps. I walk around with applications in my hand.
Chief, if we formed just solely curiosity question, but if we had a fire district and we included more municipalities, would their stations count towards our 5 miles?
That is a possibility. I don't know all of the regulations out of it, but given where our fire district would land, there's not currently a building within that 5-mile zone that's going to help us out.
Yeah, because the one on C would be more than 5 miles out,
And also town of Monroe.
Okay, just curious.
How about some of the surrounding towns and municipalities? So if we're in our main zone, if we're a 4, how does that compare to Monroe and Big Flats and?
The Monroe and Big Flats, I live in the town of Monroe. My residence is 0.2 of a mile outside of the town of Rome. I'm a protection class 10 at my house.
5 miles away from their station.
Correct. And then it also has that chart that they go through that is multi-pages long to figure in your rating. We'd have to sit there and break it down to actually see where that piece came into.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you, that's very good news. Anybody else? Well. Number 12, discussion and possible action, approval of recommendation from the Plan Commission on consideration of a site plan of operation for Winger Enterprises LLC, C.O. Thomas J. Winger, for the property located at 1124 County Road D, also described as Lot 1 of CSM 6696, located in the southeast 1/4, northeast 1/4, Section 08, Town 20 North, Range 06 East. Town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, with a parcel number of 030-00641-0020.
So included in your packet was just a brief memo from Plan Commission and the attachments that went into Plan Commission. I just would note that then I distributed tonight the copy of the findings of fact. Plan Commission is on Tuesday, so sometimes signed findings of fact can't make it into the packet in time, so just provided the signed copy this evening. Then I think Attorney Flanagan had a couple.
Yeah, just more of a general update, is that, the Plan Commission did consider this item, at its September 13th meeting. A public hearing was held, after which, the Plan Commission did, recommend approval, of the site plan and plan of operation, and adopted the findings of fact. There are 2 conditions that are noted in that findings of fact. I believe you have, as the administrator had mentioned, the copy, before you. I believe the 2 conditions that I, had written down, is a, roof color that matches, the code's design standards, as well as paving of 200 feet of the driveway before occupancy.
What kind of a business is this going to be? Just a storage location for a business or what?
So I can let Tom elaborate, but it's Tom and his spouse do consulting work, and so this would be a place to stage items for their consulting clients. It wouldn't have public access there wouldn't be customers coming in and out. It would be a staging location for those businesses.
Great, thanks.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, so, thank you, Tom, for hearing me out. So Tom Wenger, Wenger Enterprises. I did want to discuss a few items today, so thanks for taking the time to review it. The goal tonight is obviously to get the site plan approved. And one item of discussion, as discussed at the Planning Commission, I wanted to talk to my council about the 200 feet of paved driveway. 200 feet was an arbitrary number. There's not actually a town ordinance that specifies 200 feet. The reason we set the building back over 200 feet was we originally told by previous staff of the city or the town, who's no longer here, that you couldn't actually build in the Gateway District. So we set the building back that far, and now we're being told that we have to address the driveway. So given that the 200 feet is an arbitrary number, going back through the town codes, per 360-81.1 C2B1, which would be inside the gateway, which would follow town center code. Minimum setback would be 63 feet from the center line of the road. So I'd propose a compromise of paving backwards of the center line 63 feet down the driveway, which would also, because of the driveway is curved, be out of visible. It would actually be beyond visibility of the road and the public as well. So the pavement would go down the driveway past 63 feet from the center line, and that would be the compromise I would propose.
Nick?
Well,
Direction?
so I believe, and there are 2 members of the Plan Commission at tonight's meeting, but I believe the 200-foot coincides with the Gateway Overlay District. I think that's the paving requirements that were in Gateway is where that came from. That doesn't mean that there can't be a conversation about what that paving looks like, but I think that's where it came from. Just to be clear, that I don't think it was totally an arbitrary number. I think the idea behind it was the area which fell within the Gateway Overlay District and those standards that would apply to it.
So we should refer this back to the Plan Commission?
That's not what I'm recommending. I'm just answering that comment. It's up to you on what you want to do. There was a recommendation from the Plan Commission with that as a condition. But you all, that's a recommendation to you, and you all ultimately would make the decision on the site plan and plan of operation.
To clarify for the record, there is no ordinance specifying 200 feet, correct?
So I'd have to look into the, I mean, I can. So
We're discussing this without a motion, aren't we? Are we not?
Was there a motion? No. Okay.
the only comment to that would be, as the chairman had referenced, with comment, once
Oh.
the board makes the motion,
I
then
see.
comment kind of stops.
Okay.
So we're kind of working within those confines, and I
Okay.
believe the applicant had, well, he had some questions and
All right.
a proposal.
Thank you.
So you're saying, based on your compromise proposal there, that if you pave back 63 or more feet, however your driveway's set up, that the driveway would go in and then it curves like behind a tree line or some other thing that blocks the view of the driveway to the building and things like that?
Correct. Jamie, do they have the site plan in the packet?
Yes, they do.
Which does outlay the driveway curve. And we did that on purpose as well, to reduce visibility.
So to respond to that comment, 360-161 sets the boundaries for gateway, clearly says 200 feet.
That's the gate, that's the boundary for the Gateway District.
Correct.
Now you need to move on to what is the interpretation of paving requirements within that district.
Well,
What do you
I'm
mean
saying is that
interpretation?
I
That's
just-
our code.
Yeah, I just referenced the boundaries of the gate, that's where
That's the
200
boundaries of the gate, yeah,
That's
okay.
where the 200 feet came from.
But now the question is the paving requirement. What is the language surrounding paving requirements within that district?
I know it adopts Rome Town Center standards, so I have to go up to that.
Which is where I got the 63 feet off the center line
So,
to compromise.
so, yeah, again, that's where the 200 feet came from, but we can look into what the actual requirements are for paving within that. But it definitely does then reference, or cross-reference, Gateway overlay, or sorry, Rome Town Center for the standards within the Gateway overlay.
But a requirement for paved entrance and paved parking for public businesses, if somebody's got, I mean, I think we're by default saying it's pavement all the way to that 200-foot mark.
Well, there's definitely a requirement for paved parking.
And it,
But not, in the Gateway District, yes. Not in the area in which they're putting their building in this particular situation that we're talking about.
And the recommendation came forward from the Plan Commission to the town board that it be the 200 feet. Now you're debating what the recommendation was from the Plan Commission.
Because we have the ability to do that.
Now, again,
That's correct.
Yeah, it is, so part of that is up to you all. I do have one other question, and that is probably more to the applicant. Just so I understand, has there been a conversation with the zoning administrator regarding, current zoning administrator regarding requirements that we have for paving, parking, any of that? I
So after
think we need to be consistent with that in
Right.
some way.
Sure. So, we were at the meeting on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I met with council. They gave me this recommendation solution. I came back to the zoning administrator after that, discussed the options, and she didn't have any power to make any decisions, right? That's what we're here doing here.
Of course.
But she agreed with the logic, I will say,
Okay.
of Centerline. But again, she reiterated, I don't want to get anybody in trouble here, but she reiterated she doesn't have the ability to make the decision, but she understood the logic of where it was coming from.
That's accurate, although I think the zoning administrator interprets our zoning ordinance and gives recommendations perhaps during pre-construction meetings and those pieces. There's conferences that are foreseen in our ordinance that are at least an option. I just wanted to know if during those conversations, if the zoning administrator gave any recommendations at all. So largely to Supervisor Goman's question, largely the paving requirements relate to parking within the Gateway District.
So if there's not gonna be, my question would be then, if there's not gonna be customers coming to this building, and there's not gonna be any services provided out of this building, how does that relate to parking?
So there are minimum parking requirements within Gateway, because again, it cross-references, Rome Town Center. So you use that, parking requirements, in Gateway, as maybe a guiding light. I get the point that was made by Supervisor Goman, which is that they're, strategically locating the building outside of the Gateway. So now we have a conversation regarding location of the building outside of Gateway, part of their property certainly within Gateway, and then what requirements you would put in place.
Thank you. I'm just gonna reiterate the same thing. The building itself actually falls outside of the gateway, which is where the parking would be.
That's what this conversation is, right?
Right.
You got
is
the
this
building
idea
at 250 foot, right?
Yep.
Setback?
that they've set back the building outside of that.
Is that from the property line or from the road?
250 feet from center line of the road. We base everything off center line. And so I just, to be fair, we're okay paving 63 feet. We just like, it becomes economically prohibitive to go all the way back to 200 feet, especially when the goal of the gateway is to preserve the aesthetics, right? And so we feel that 63 feet meets the aesthetics and is a fair compromise.
Okay, folks, thoughts? Lori?
I think one of the concerns I have overall is that our commercial district is starting to erode for personal use buildings. And that's, you know, some of these buildings we're now turning into large storage buildings, and what value are they adding to our commercial district? And I just think now starting to debate these things, yes, we have the power at the town board level. And so we're questioning our own code and putting people on the spot and interpretations, and these decisions are being made, and I think it's something that we need to decide back at the PC, that at the Plan Commission, that we need to maybe look at that ordinance and and review that ordinance within the commercial district. But again, I think questioning our own code at this juncture with this approval of this building.
But as it relates to this structure, though, the structure itself is outside of the commercial district. The only thing that,
No, it's not.
oh, it's in the commercial district.
It's in the
Okay.
commercial district.
Okay, outside the gateway, okay,
So
I see.
that Gateway exists as an overlay district.
Okay.
Overlay districts
I see.
are the overlays over the
Okay.
base zoning.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So, okay, but the reason then for this request or the stipulation on here of the additional paving is because part of the, is it because the part of the property lies within the Gateway District? Even though the only thing that lies really within the Gateway District is the chunk of land that they're gonna put their driveway on?
I think that's accurate.
Yes.
Okay.
So your parking lot is 40 by 140?
That's the cleared area around the building, so yeah, it's,
Well, it says parking lot here.
where does it say parking lot? Right.
Number 9.
Dimensions of parking lot 40 by 140.
That's to the immediate west of the building, yes. I always put that in. Which is basically just the cleared area to the west of the building where you can park on.
The building itself is 62 by 100, correct?
Correct.
So the yellow's the cleared area and the blue is the building.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's funny, because I was thinking, wait, it's a C-shaped building. Oh, the yellow's the building and the blue is the cleared, okay, that's the little cleared area, and that's the driveway. Okay. Confusing drawing.
I know, at first I thought that was a C-shaped building too, but no, it's all, everything's a building. There's no plumbing, no electrical. It's just a big storage building.
Big storage building. But then when I have the cleared area over there, it's a, okay, never mind. It's like a courtyard. Okay, so it's not really,
We go here.
And this isn't the scale either, but is it 50 foot then from the
oh, okay. So
the
building-
large parking lot then to the edge of the gateway? Is that what we're looking at here? Is it, the gateway goes back 200 feet?
Yes, there
Yeah,
would,
200 feet from center line,
So
correct?
that's another 50 there. So you, but the gateway does say 200 foot paved.
The gateway, so where the paving requirements come into place is, with the parking. That's kind of where the
But that's out,
things go in. I think that, and it's hard without, certain plan commission members here that made that motion, but I suspect that they set the 200 feet according to the boundaries of the gateway.
Gateway overlay.
I suspect that's what it was. But
And
again,
that's why you-
it's a recommendation to the board, and ultimately the decision is your own.
and I think has been also a condition with other businesses within the commercial district that fell within the gateway.
And that's why, over the last number of years, it's been part of the developers' agreements, trying to get those other businesses.
Within Rome Town
That's what-
Center,
Enter.
it's been in developers agreements, yeah.
And yet,
I don't
here we
re-
sit and balk at the 50 grand to redo part of a parking lot, on our own property. So paving's not cheap, folks.
And that's why I'm trying to meet everybody halfway here, is that's a significant expense, that unforeseen expense from our perspective. And so we want to just see what we can do to make everybody,
But we also had a situation where a building sold. And without going into
That's in the
deep,
town center. I'm
Yeah, this-
considering the town center completely
I
different.
don't think
than the-
we've had this discussion before outside the Roan Town Center in the gateway.
but the ordinance is the ordinance, and the overlay is the overlay, and those are our ordinances, and we should stop. We run into problems if we don't enforce our ordinances.
well,
Can you set conditions that would require paving in the future if certain events were to occur?
well, isn't the other the same 24-month time constraint?
Oh, so there's two different pieces to that, what you're now asking. You always could set a period of time to do the paving, but I think Supervisor Goman's asking if there can be a condition put on that stipulates certain activities that would require additional paving. Is that what I'm hearing?
Mhm.
Yes.
And just so everybody knows what my thought process is in this one, what's being proposed by the property owner is to pave what is visible to everybody that's driving by that area. And we're not gonna see anything else because, as has been explained, you're not touching any of the other landscaping that's already there. Whatever's semi-natural, it's all planted, but,
right,
so everything is gonna be hidden. If something were to materially change, I could see us wanting to have that look uniform with other development around it, if there's 200-foot setbacks.
we accept and acknowledge the fact that if we were to change the use of the property, that would require an updated site plan of operation, which would then give the planning commission the ability to make further recommendations slash requirements at that time.
So what do we need, a motion to vote on this in
We
one way or
can,
the
we
other?
can, we can ask for a motion, yes?
Before you do that, I do have one other question, because there were two conditions in there. I just wanna, because it sounded like there was a follow-up conversation with the zoning administrator. Can you just speak a bit to the condition that was, part of the recommendation related to roof color? Has that been explored? And I know you had mentioned at the plan commission, so it's important to talk about that now.
Sure.
Just to make sure that that's okay, it's something you've looked into and
We have looked into it and accept it based on the town ordinances, and we understand when we reviewed the ordinances around colors, 360-81-1, section 5D. There's actually no, so during the planning commission, there was a reference to dark earth tones. Dark earth tones is not actually the language, it just says earth tones in that section. In the roof section, which is 360-131, B3, it said roofs are expected to have a dark tone. There is no requirement of dark tone, is an expectation of dark tone. That being said, again, we're willing to compromise on that. But just for clarity of the town code, those were there's no requirement of a dark roof, there's an expectation. And I'm more saying this for everybody's knowledge, right? Like, I'm not trying to debate it. We will still make sure we comply with that one. I'm not arguing or discussing that one here, like, we accept that. It's the-
All I asked was, because I think it was discussed at the meeting, a desire,
Filing of fact. Okay.
almost an expectation, right?
Right.
That there be a dark color. And so I think your response at that time was that you weren't sure if at this juncture you could accommodate that with, you know, the change, right?
Right.
And so I think that was, the reason I asked it was just to make sure that that was, it wasn't necessarily to argue the merits, because it was part of the recommendation, and again, it's subject to the town board's approval, but I thought it was worth discussing, not the merits of the ordinance, rather the recommendation from the plan commission.
So fair. I would state though that the building 2 or 3 doors down now, I believe it's the boat barn, was built with black roof, which is dark obviously, and white walls, and the ordinances specifically call out that the siding will not be dominated by one color, so there's a precedence there as well, but yes, to your point, I will agree to what we talked about on the planning commission meeting on Tuesday.
Okay, and we do have a letter here stated, finding a fact that you did sign off and agree to this on 9/13, correct?
So, Jamie, I actually, I publicly protested citing that because there's no clear visible, on that document, there's nothing stating what you're signing. There's nothing stating, I'm accepting these terms, there's nothing
is-
stating.
What is this right
Yeah,
here?
it certainly does say
What is
that.
this?
It says those are the conditions, it doesn't say I'm accepting those. It says, per Jamie, after I followed up yesterday afternoon, I went back and said, I want a clarification of what I'm in fact signing here, because she says it's an acknowledgement of those conditions, of the fact that it's going to town board, not an acceptance of the terms.
I move that we
because-
put this back to the plan commission.
Yeah. No, okay, we have a motion. No motion? Okay. Entertain another motion?
Before that, can I just give a response to that?
Sure.
The last one, because I think it's important enough to respond to. So part of this, I think, comes from the fact that conditional uses after Act 67 require, have different requirements around the conditions that are placed and acceptability and the ability to deny it if it's not acceptable to the applicant. I think some of that carries over perhaps to findings of fact here. I would, though, say that because there's an ability to adjust here at the town board, it's probably more of an acknowledgement since it's coming from the plan commission. Less of a, I mean, that's what he's coming here is pleading his case to you on adjusting the paving requirements, right? And so, because of that process being a recommendation and then approval, what I would say is what would be more valuable and much more binding is to have, if you are going to do conditions here, okay, that he accept those, right? Because the plan commission's is just a recommendation. You can adjust that all you want. We want some kind, I think we want some kind of acknowledgement from them on accepting any conditions that you put on your approval here.
That would, of course, occur with the document that follows this meeting, yes?
Yes. And it can be as simple as a supplement to the findings of fact with any adjustments that are made at this meeting or at any town board approval. And if it's acceptable, then it's signed and, so you got your plan commission with that, and you'd have your, so for the purpose of the property file, I think you'd want both of those things in the property file.
Mr. Wagner, question. If we were to put a third condition on here, say we were to propose the 63 feet of paving, if we were to put a third one on there that would state something along the lines of, if the visibility of the property were to change from the public viewing from the road at any time, that we would then ask the 200 feet of paving be done.
I would accept that term.
You would accept that, okay. Then I'll make a motion to approve the site plan with the following changes to the conditions. Letter A remains, selection of the building roof colors in earth tone. Letter B, paving of 63 feet of the driveway from the center line of the road. Letter C, should the visibility of the driveway and/or building change due to removal of landscaping, that the paving then would be continued to the 200 feet as indicated in the gateway overlay.
And then add another deed that the owner will agree to these terms and conditions.
Well, I was just going to say, after your motion was done, I was just going to ask, before you even bother with a second, if that was acceptable. I mean, that's, because we'd have to, we'll
Do
proceed
we
with
want
the
that in
sign.
writing for the file?
We will,
Okay.
but if it's not acceptable, then
One of the,
That's what he's proposing, so I would imagine it's acceptable.
Yeah, he just asked. And I-
Yeah, and he said yes when I asked him before I even made the motion.
Your motion had roof, your motion had
Oh, I see.
all of those things. I wanna make sure.
Okay, so will you accept it, would you accept it if we approve it with, as my motion stands, with the three conditions, the roof, the 63 foot of paving, assuming the landscaping remains, and then the third one without,
With
if
which-
the landscaping goes away, then you must do
In,
200 feet.
in that
All those
case,
are
I'll
acceptable
second the
terms.
motion.
discussion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, thank you.
Discussion? I would also suggest that we add in the change of use. It goes
Change of
from,
use is in our ordinance.
That's already in there?
So
Alright.
if there's a change of use, then that site plan.
acknowledge,
of
okay,
operation has-
acknowledge it
the
though.
change.
Right. Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion's carried.
And I do, Mr. Chairman, want to refer this issue to the Plan Commission, that we have refer this to the PC, that we look at this ordinance further in the commercial district, because we are losing value by eroding this area, this district, for personal use buildings like this, because they're just turning into big garages.
I would agree.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Number 13, discussion of possible action, approval of resolution number 22, a resolution for adoption of the Town of Rome Community Wildfire Protection Plan, CWPP 2022 to 2031. Jamie?
Included in the packet was a resolution and an updated draft plan for our community wildfire protection. What is in red is what's being proposed for changes. The town does have an exciting opportunity to apply for some additional federal grants for wildfire protection. And as a piece of that, we need to update our wildfire protection plan. I know they had a meeting today. If you
Yes, we
wanted
did.
to
I'll
elaborate.
try to elaborate a little bit. The grant that they're applying for, if granted, would be in effect for 5 years. It's possible that we could obtain up to $50,000 each year to do curbside pickup, transportation to the transfer site, and disposal of that wood. So it's a very good thing. It's 100%. There's no extra cost. It's not a 75-25, it's a 100% grant. If we get it. And I would also say there's $160 million at the federal level available here. Likely, a lot of it's gonna go out to the western states where you see a lot of wildfires. That doesn't negate the problem that we have here, in that we do have wildfires in our area, and we're going to elaborate on that when we write the grant. And I'm also going to write a letter as a resident and as a board member to try to affirm what's being written in the grant. So I think it's a no-brainer, basically.
Can we get a motion?
Move to approve the what's the thing called, wildfire protection plan?
Second.
I'll
Discussion?
second the motion.
And a couple comments in here. They did refer to the 100-foot setback, even in areas outside the 2 acre, as homes and building. Did we not change that to structures in our ordinance? Just want to make sure it's
What are you
proper.
talking about, the
It was on-
deadwood and brush?
One was page 6. It was noticed in 2 spots. One was where they referred to a home, another one was a building, and I believe we changed
We
it to
changed the
structure.
ordinance to 100 feet.
Yes, it was 100 foot, yes,
Yes.
but the term. They had a home in here on one, and they referred to a building in another one.
You mean clearing around, wasn't it like?
I think the
100 feet?
residence was, with anything less than 2 acres had to apply to the dead brush and tree ordinance. And if you're on a lot bigger than 2 acres, it was 100 feet within any building.
Building, 100 feet of any building.
Is it
I
building?
believe we had structure.
287-15. This is as amended 6/3/2021. Or, no, sorry, 9/2/2021.
So we could ask for that to be changed on page 6, so it
It was noted
say
again later,
100 feet of building instead of home.
and it was noted later on too as something, I'll find it and
The
get it back to you.
picture on 13.
Yeah,
But anyway, if,
If you want, I'll get the change made if you want.
put this on the website if you would, because this is, it's pretty interesting information.
So our wildfire protection plan is on the website now, it has a separate page, but once these changes are adopted and put back into the document, we'll update that page.
And they do give a lot of credit to the folks in the town here for following through on the brush. They noticed the cleanup, so appreciate that.
But Bob, you'll contact Amy Penn and just mention that
Yep,
piece on page 6?
we'll get it
Okay.
changed.
Okay, any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you, Bob. Number 14, discussion of possible action, update on University of Wisconsin-Madison Department of Forest and Wildlife Ecology Group project regarding wildlife damage management for urban and nuisance deer.
So there was a brief memo included in your packet tonight. I did have a virtual meeting with Professor David Drake. We would be a project for his class. I apologize, but he just didn't get the whole group piece outlined for me to hand out an updated copy of what that will look like for the class. Classes just started down at the University of Madison, so I expect I would have that shortly. I just don't have it for this evening. But he did say we would be one of the projects selected. We will have 3 to 4 students that will work with us through this semester on an abatement plan. They will assemble that into an overall presentation for us. And Professor Drake just asked then that some individuals from Rome would go down to the class in December to actually hear that presentation for their final class grade that they would be putting together. But we'll be working with those 3 to 4 students through this whole semester. And the beginning piece of that is just having conversations about what are the damage issues that we're seeing, what are we looking to achieve from the class, those questions, so they can formulate an overall plan. So they've done this, he's done this class for a couple different semesters, and he always tries to have realistic, real-world examples. So he has some good previous experience on how to steer students to get what communities are looking for. So it's an exciting opportunity for us.
Great. We don't need action on that, correct?
We don't need action. I will bring back the description for the class for the students that take ours once it's finalized.
We might need no action, but I think it's good to note for the minutes that we're very appreciative of the cooperation of the UW-Madison students and their professor in being involved in our project, because it will go greatly towards assisting us with our future plans.
Agreed. Number 15, discussion and possible action, approval to dispose of 8-foot tables from community room due to remodeling and set a minimum bid amount.
So there was a memo in the packet. We did order new tables for the community room. We have wanted to do some updating in that room, including some new floors, painting the walls, putting in some new ceiling tiles to get it updated. We have selected a floor. We're working on some pricing for the floor, but the tables that are in there now, we didn't want to scratch the new floor if that's what was in there. Additionally, those tables, they're 8 foot, they're heavy, and the tables that were ordered are on rollers, they have flip tops, they stack together, much more efficient, easy for setup, takedown, and moving around. So we would save a series of the 8-foot tables that are that hard top plastic to take to the gazebo and to the band shell for events that happen out there. They're very durable. If they would get damaged, it wouldn't be a huge issue, right? So 32 is what we have of those tables. We would take maybe a dozen that would go over to the band shell and to the gazebo. The rest we would be looking to just surplus here in the community at $25 a table. We don't need to keep them hanging around in the building. They take up a great deal of space. They're all on racks. Like I said, they're very heavy, they're hard to transport. So, and the new table is right outside the door along with the flooring sample for any that are interested.
You're looking for a minimum bid amount per table?
Yep, 25.
Make a motion to approve the disposal of the tables from the community room with a minimum bid amount of $25 per table.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion's carried. Number 16, discussing and possible action, town acceptance of monetary donation from Hometown Rome players for Rome Rhapsody Park, a municipal landscape and play structure for Rome Town Center Park.
So there was a memo in the packet with some photos. So this Rhapsody Park is life-size musical instruments that those that are young and young at heart can play. There would be a setup. I gave a map location of where it would approximately be in Rome Town Center, adjacent to the splash pad to the west, where there would be a grouping of these. So the Hometown Rome players have been fundraising through their shows for the last couple years, and would be looking to present approximately $20,000 to the town, and then we would order the items and we would get them installed next spring. So by our town policy, donations over $10,000 need to be accepted by the town board. And I do believe there are a series of Hometown Rome players here that may want to say something and also be here for the presentation.
Sure. Come on up to the podium, please.
There they go. They have more pictures.
You bring the instruments here to test out? or-
Well, I brought pictures, will that help? We're looking at probably, something like this one, and some drums to go in that area. We're looking at having a, rubber mat, kinda like this area. And having a rubber mat, installed underneath
I would
them
do.
for safety
Yeah.
and fun for the kids. Kinda like these right here. There'd be like a huge xylophone and chimes and some drums for the kids. Anything to encourage some music you can have. If you
Is the
want.
rubber mat for like access by the handicapped or wheelchair accessible, or is it there because it needs to be there because of the musical nature of the
I just
things?
like that surface
Jamie, you
better
can't get
for
that on the
children.
screen, right?
I mean,
mean-
these are, a lot of
No,
these
it's
just
taking
have
a
wood
photo.
chips down.
Yeah.
And
those rubber
we've
ones.
Rubber
seen-
mats are nice if you can get rubber mat.
It's pricey, it's like $5,000 for that rubber mat, but we figured we have $20,000, $374.09 from our shows and from community donations. These are all members, we've had up to 40 people a year as part of our group when we do our Roman Fest shows. And, and we do regular line dancing and tap dancing and,
Carry out
play
the pig.
practice, right, And so, and basket raffles and, you know, all kinds of things that we do at our show in order to always, our mission is to share our talents as service to the Rome community. And so this has been our project for the last few years.
It's
and-
certainly unique.
Well, we like to say we're creative, but
cool.
uniquely creative is good. But we have fun doing it too, and we also are intergenerational. We have children
children now.
involved too. And so, it has been a good experience, and we hope this will be a good experience for encouraging music amongst Rome children.
Very nice.
On behalf of Parks and Rec, and I'm sure my fellow board members, I applaud your efforts, and we gratefully acknowledge the fact that you've put forth a lot of effort here, and we look forward to seeing it installed. I just would like you to comment a little bit about the decision to change the location, because I think originally, from what I gathered, it was going to be around the Great Walk,
We
the
kinda
nature
talked-
walk around the Great
yeah,
Lawn.
We talked about,
Probably just go to the mic just because it'll be, on the- yep, it's okay. It just helps to project.
we talked about, having the instruments together.
Yeah.
So that the kids can interact with one another and play. But if you had it just one here, one there, and one there, you would lose that interaction
I understand
component.
that. That's great.
So they'll be more grouped together in that section.
It'll, yeah.
And that doesn't mean we couldn't add to it in the future, but this would be the first grouping.
We're looking at probably 4 to start with and the mat. And we'll need some volunteers from the town to, you know, assemble it when they do have the equipment here, so.
Just a couple questions. First, I'll start by just saying, incredibly generous from your group and the community, and great idea. I do have a couple different questions, just related to maybe how this would be accepted and maybe our path forward as well. It looked like there were a few different options, and now I heard you say 4. So this would be a monetary donation, and I'm just trying to determine, have you identified the 4 that you want, and then would your group be asking for that to be reflected maybe in a donation agreement? That way we can set very clear expectations from both sides as far as what the money would be used for, what would be ordered, if there's any, sign or location things, I think we would reflect that. So what we can get is your blessing today, board, and then at the next meeting, we would bring forth a donation acceptance agreement that kind of sets forth those mutual expectations as far as that monetary donation is concerned.
And when would that next meeting be?
October 6th.
October 6th.
Do you know if that's, when you've gotten the quote, is that something that's still okay at that point?
Well, the prices went up since we originally started, but then the salesperson said he'd give us a 5% discount, so it's pretty much the same price. They are not going to be building any equipment for fall. It's going to all be built over the winter, and then it would be for spring that we would receive it. So the sooner we get the order in, I guess, I'm thinking the better, so that we can get it in by spring. I had hoped we'd get it in for fall, but that's not going to happen, so.
Do you have a quote from the company that is, okay. And is it the quote that basically reflects the dollar value of your donation for the 4 instruments plus the mat? Is that
Right,
correct?
the 20, we'll spend all of it.
Right.
Of course. But the 20,374.09, we will
Would
come
cover
as close to that, would
the-
cover
The 4
what we
instruments plus
choose.
the mat.
Now, there is one additional grant I'm waiting for from Quick Trip at this point, and we've made it so far, and I'm just waiting to hear how much money that they're also going to contribute. So we might be able to get more, but it really depends on that.
And you want to specify, Barb, specifically which instruments you want to for Nick?
So, yeah, so part of this, I think, is, I definitely don't want to delay, putting in an order. I understand the sensitivity of time in that regard. Maybe if you could just talk about what components would go into that order, that would be helpful. The board
In our
could,
motion.
could approve this, in that motion.
Okay.
We could still put forth a donation acceptance agreement that reflects those things, because there may be some other things that are important to put in there, like location. You know, and those things that we've been talking about, maybe even like sign, or how we, you know, put a sign up next to it, you know, we could talk about that. And we could reflect that in a donation acceptance agreement, but we wouldn't be quite as under the,
Time restraint.
the time restraint that might exist. I wouldn't want to spoil the.
I think October sixth would be okay, because I'd like to sit down and talk with Jamie too,
Okay.
and the members, just to double check which pieces they would like, for sure.
Okay.
And what will fit our financial guideline here right now. And we may hear from Quick Trip, they said this week yet, so, if I have more money, you know, maybe waiting till October sixth would be okay.
And that would be just fine. I just didn't want to spoil the timeline from the standpoint of a quote that we've received that maybe is good till the end of the month.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you know, prices change.
Oh,
and-
yeah, I like everything,
And
yeah.
so I think we have some flexibility there if we thought that that was a concern.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't think that that's a concern, then we can get the board's blessing today,
Mm-hmm.
bring forth a donation acceptance agreement, float that past you as well, and
Mm-hmm. Sure.
make sure that's acceptable to you, and then consider that at the next meeting if you think that that would still be okay from the standpoint of the quote that we
Mm-hmm. I think it would be.
Okay, how about this? I move that we accept the monetary donation from the Rome Town Players,
Hometown Rome
of a
players.
Rome Town,
Hometown.
hometown Rome
Rome players.
Players, okay,
Everybody gets it
of
mixed up.
approximately $20,374.09. It could be more or less, a little bit, but it's certainly gonna be over 20,000. As specified by them, to be installed and assembled by us, following a donation acceptance agreement.
There you go.
Sounds good to me.
Got it.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very
Can we
much.
get a
very
quick
much.
picture?
Sure.
Okay, good.
We actually only
Come
have,
on up, guys.
Show the folks out there what you got. I mean, that's amazing, you know?
do you guys wanna come around so you can stand?
Sure.
Oh, you're,
Over here, but I don't.
We can hold, Jamie, if you want to
This
hold.
is why you have the camera, right?
Come on, guys.
that way I never have to have my picture with you.
Sure.
That works too.
Yeah, you know,
And do you want the check? Or do we go?
Oh, there we go.
Okay, come on, girls.
You'll have the giant cardboard check.
You'll be fine.
That'll be next time.
Can you see us, huh? Smile.
Oh, hold on one sec. Although it's gonna shut.
Don't worry, don't worry. It's fine.
got it, thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys. Thank you.
Hi, sweetie. How are
Yep,
you?
maybe you want to put it up somewhere. I put one up in the library.
Hey, Jean. How are you? Good. My husband and your husband seem to really enjoy golf together.
next spring.
I know we really missed him this week. He's like, who am I gonna play with?
Field trip for the elementary music kids next spring. They can come down here and go to Papa Bear's and go play on the musical instruments.
All right, number 17, discussing possible action, request from the Adams County Sheriff's Office for a donation to the
Paw prints, tackle.
Adams County K-9 Program, ATV/UTV Ride Raffle, to be held on October 8th, 2022.
There was information in the packet. The amount of the donation wasn't specifically requested. In the past, we've done $100 donations, but that would be up to the board to determine.
Okay, I move that we make a $100 donation to the Adams County Sheriff's Office for the K-9 program and ATV ride to be held on October the 8th, assuming we have enough money in our can fund.
We're fine.
Are we allowed to make more than that?
It's the board's determination.
That's fine. How much you want to do? 200? Okay, I would change it to $200 then.
I'll second.
I think you already have, didn't
There's a motion sitting.
I'll agree to
I'm
that.
sorry.
I jumped in ahead of you. I'll agree to the 200
Thank
as a
you.
second.
Okay.
All right, any further discussion?
I didn't hear you make the second, that's why I'm sorry, my hearing's.
All those in
going.
favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Dates and items for future agenda meetings, number 18, next agenda items.
Don't have anything specifically on the board. I'll provide an update about the UW class.
Okay.
But
19, next meeting date and time.
So our next meeting date and time will actually be a budget meeting, so that will be that September 28th at 3 PM. And then our regular town board meeting will be October 6th at 5 PM.
Okay, the 28th, where's my calendar?
Is
You get
anyone
a-
going to the Towns Association thing besides me?
Okay, got that.
So the annual, they have their workshops, their fall workshops, and then the annual conference.
I'm going on the 19th, is anybody going? Okay.
You get a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.